Chapter 3 Part 3. The oars felt like lead in Angela's hands. Each stroke towards the salty dog was a battle against the churning water, the crushing weight of Anthony's sacrifice, and the blinding spotlight pinning the skiff like an insect. Behind her, the thermite burned within Split Rock's fracture, a silent, white-hot inferno sealing the Truth Cave, sealing Anthony inside. Smoke, thick and acrid, billowed from the cleft, merging with the pre-dawn gloom. Angela. Megan. Hurry. Russo's roar cut through the cutter's amplified demands. He stood defiantly at the salty dog's stern, one hand on the wheel, the other holding a massive, rusted boat hook like a spear. Bullets spanged off the trawler's steel hull as the cutter closed the distance. Not warning shots.
Aimed.
Suppressive fire. The Coast Guard ruse was over. This was an execution squad. Angela and Megan scrambled aboard, collapsing onto the wet deck. Angela clutched the waterproof bag containing Dose Zero, her eyes fixed on the smoke-choked fracture. Anthony's in there. He sealed it with thermite. Russo's face hardened. He slammed the throttle forward. The salty dog's engines bellowed, churning the water as it surged away from the rock, putting its bulk between the skiff and the cutter's guns. Can't help him, if we're sunk. Hold on. He spun the wheel violently. The trawler heeled over, its broad stern swinging towards the faster cutter's bow, a risky maneuver to force a collision or disrupt their aim. Spotlights swept the water near the fracture. There, in the water, Megan screamed, pointing. A figure broke the surface amidst the swirling smoke and steam near the base of the rock.
Anthony.
He was hauling himself onto a jagged ledge just above the waterline, coughing violently. His clothes were charred and smoldering, his face blackened with soot, his left arm hanging limp and horribly blistered from shoulder to wrist, a brutal thermite burn. But he was alive. The cutter's spotlight found him. A rifle cracked. A geyser of water erupted inches from Anthony's ledge. He's exposed, Angela cried, her heart in her throat. We have to get him. Can't get closer. Russo yelled, wrestling the wheel as the cutter adjusted, its heavier bow slamming into the salty dog's stern with a sickening crunch. The trawler shuddered. They'll ram us apart. Or board. Anthony huddled on the ledge, a wounded animal against the bleeding stone. The cutter was turning its attention fully towards him, a smaller inflatable already deploying from its side, armed men ready to finish the job. Angela looked from Anthony, fighting for breath on the rock, to the waterproof bag at her feet. Dose Zero pulsed faintly within. Robert's words echoed. The static whispers the path. Ben's voice on the recording. Burn it all down. She didn't have a weapon. She had a truth too loud to ignore. Megan. Angela grabbed her friend's arm. The flare gun. Russo's toolkit. Robert's old radio gear. Is it still aboard? Megan's eyes widened with understanding. The ham radio shack. Down in the hold. Robert used it to talk to researchers. Russo kept it. She scrambled towards a hatch. Angela turned to Russo. Buy us 2 minutes. Just 2. Russo didn't ask. He slammed the trawler into reverse, gear shrieking, backing hard into the cutter's path again, forcing it to veer and buying precious seconds of chaos. Make it count, Mitchell. Angela dove down the ladder into the trawler's dank hold. Megan was already there, pulling dusty tarps off a cluttered workbench dominated by an ancient, complex-looking radio transceiver. Bundles of wires snaked everywhere. Can this broadcast? Angela yelled over the engines and gunfire. Shortwave. Powerful. Can reach continents if tuned right. Megan frantically flipped switches. Lights flickered on the dusty console. But it's analog. No internet. Doesn't need it. Angela yanked the laptop from her backpack, Anthony's laptop, still linked to Magpie's satellite feed. She plugged a cable into the radio's auxiliary input. Magpie planted the seeds. Now we water them live. Her fingers flew over the keyboard, accessing the deepest layer of Magpie's protocol. She initiated Operation Dandelion Bloom, the emergency live stream override. On screen, a prompt flashed, awaiting audio-video input. Broadcast key, Saltstone Fire. Angela grabbed the waterproof tube from the bag. Not dose zero. Ben's USB drive. She plugged it in, found the file. Voice_memo_Ben_10-17_final_confrontation. She cued it. Then she pulled out the ancient, tube-style webcam attached to the laptop, aiming it roughly towards the ladder well, capturing glimpses of the chaotic deck, the smoke, the sea, the bleeding rock. "Ready," she yelled at Megan. Megan held up the flare gun loaded. "For what?" "Light. We need light. Aim for the cutter." Angela took a deep breath. This was it. The static became a signal. She hit broadcast and keyed the radio's microphone, her voice amplified not just through the Salty Dog speakers, but blasted into the shortwave ether and routed instantly through Magpie's dark web network to every seated platform, every journalist's Dropbox, every forum waiting for the bloom. "This is Angela Mitchell." Her voice, raw and shaking but clear, echoed across the water, pulsed through the radio waves, and flooded the nascent digital storm Magpie had seeded. "We are not terrorists. We are whistleblowers. Listen to Benjamin Moretti. Listen to the truth Eleanor Moretti murdered to hide." She hit play on Ben's final recording. His voice, strained, terrified, yet filled with undeniable conviction, filled the trawler, crackled over the radio, and exploded across the digital landscape. "She's not just skimming money. She's swapping the trial drug for placebo in over half the Harbor's End participants. People with heart failure. People trusting the free clinic. She could be killing them. For what? Why? Because the real Vitalix trial was failing. Catastrophically. Adverse effects. Lawsuits looming. But Eleanor had invested heavily. Personal reputation tied to it. She created a control group within the trial. Harbor's End became her lab rats. She killed my grandfather to protect it. She's killing my father's legacy. She's silencing me. Stop her. However you can. Burn it all down." As Ben's voice rang out, Megan leaned out the hold's porthole, aimed the flare gun at the Moretti cutter's bridge, and fired. Whoosh crack. The red comet streaked across the gray dawn, illuminating the cutter's deck in hellish relief. The armed men, the false insignia, the panic as the flare slammed into the wheelhouse window, not breaking it but splattering it with burning phosphorus, blinding the crew momentarily. The broadcast didn't stop. Angela kept the mic open, the camera capturing the chaos, the flare's dying light, the salty dog battling the cutter, the bleeding stone of split rock. "See for yourselves." Angela screamed into the mic. "Look at Split Rock. Look at the bleeding stone where Robert Moretti hid the proof of her poison. She's poisoning minds now. My mother. Others. Dose zero is the cure she wants to weaponize." On the ledge, Anthony saw his chance. The cutter was momentarily distracted, its crew batting at the flare's residue. The inflatable had stalled. He pushed off the rock, diving into the churning water, swimming with desperate, one-armed strokes towards the salty dog. Russo saw him. He spun the wheel hard, bringing the trawler's stern perilously close to Anthony in the water. "Angela. Now." Angela dropped the mic and scrambled back onto the deck. She grabbed a life ring and a rope. Leaning over the stern rail, she threw the ring towards Anthony's bobbing head. "Grab it." His burned hand, raw and blistered, closed over the ring. Angela and Megan hauled. Russo gunned the engine, and Anthony was dragged through the water, then up and over the rail, collapsing onto the deck, gasping, shivering, his left arm a ruin, but his eyes blazing with fierce life. Angela fell to her knees beside him, the laptop and webcam still broadcasting their ragged triumph, their shared survival, to a world just beginning to wake up to Eleanor Moretti's monstrous truth. The static wasn't just a symptom anymore, it was a signal fire they'd ignited. And the world was watching it burn.